James Harden, the former member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers. Now he's a Los Angeles Clipper trying to block Kawhi Leonard's shot. And,
yeah, I don't get what that was about. But
so the topic on the screen is about him returning to Philly on Wednesday night. This dude is a knucklehead. He's a clown. This is the reason why I'm not picking the Clippers to make it out of the Western Conference. This is the reason why it looks like they're going to be playing the New Orleans Pelicans in round number 1. And the Pelicans are a very deep and good team, and I think the Clippers could be on the ropes. Listen, James Harden is a fascinating story because he went from a 6-man in Oklahoma City to maybe, and I'm not saying this lightly because many people have said this over the years, the best offensive player, not player in general, but the best offensive scorer potentially in the history of the sport of basketball, to eating a bunch of Oreos and quitting his way out of Houston and getting to Brooklyn, to then being the smartest man in the room and saying, get me out of this goddamn mess with Kyrie and Kevin Durant and get me to Philly, to then apparently having a disagreement with Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid and getting his way with the Clippers. And now he's with a good coach in Tyronn Lue, but he's with Russell Westbrook. He's with Kawhi Leonard, who doesn't talk. He's with Paul George, who's a very quiet leader. The guy, the beard, who I got to give credit, was a great scorer. Now he doesn't even score. He's a great passer. I don't know what to make of James Harden. I'll let you talk more about the topic, but I just want to say I don't know what to make of the damn guy.
I don't know either. And I heard something interesting today on one of the popular sports shows. I don't remember which one it was, whether it was Undisputed or First Take or First Things First, which I don't even watch First Things First anymore, but whatever. But one of them, on one of those shows, I heard one of the analysts say the Clippers are kind of taking on James Harden's identity of being very lackadaisical, not trying on defense, and just not putting in the effort offensively. And from what I've seen of the Clippers lately, that's a valid point, actually. Like, I don't know if they just think, oh, we're the Clippers, so we can just show up and the other team will just quit. No, that's not how it works, Kawhi. No, that's not how it works, Paul George. That's definitely not how it works for you, James Harden. Which you talked about, the Clippers, as of right now, could be facing the Pelicans, but there's a scenario where the Clippers could fall out of the top 6 altogether and wind up in the play-in tournament. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
I don't see that extremely likely. It looks like Golden State probably going to fall out as Houston is now starting to come on, which would be an absolute disaster for the NBA, in my opinion. It's already a disaster that Steph Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant, 2 of those 3 may not even make the actual playoffs, the 1 through 8 seed, which is just, the NBA has marketed their game around those 3 stars for the last decade, and we have guys like Anthony Edwards and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander taking over, and Zion Williamson is somewhat back, I guess, though it's not really about him with the Pelicans.
I would say it's more about Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I would completely agree, and he's been out, and they've been playing well. I think it's very important for the Clippers. The fact that Harden returned to Philly, I'm going to be honest, I don't think he really cares. I think James sometimes forgets what team he's on. He might have forgotten that night when he tried to block Kawhi Leonard's shot. I mean, who knows? He's James Harden.
I just think, like, when you get a return like this, it's interesting. I don't think it's going to be as visceral of a reaction as when Ben Simmons made his return to Philly.
I forget Ben Simmons is still in the NBA. Oh, my God.
I know, because Ben Simmons really never plays.
By the way, when Ben Simmons first came out, I thought he was the closest thing to LeBron we've seen. I was wrong.
Yeah, we were all wrong about that. But
whatever. Let's talk about Harden. Guy spent 10 years. He can't make a 2-foot jumper. Yet in practice, he can make threes. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But I still think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of reaction Harden gets from the Phillies.
I would say it's definitely boos. He doesn't deserve cheers.
No, he doesn't. But I'll be curious to see like how raucous that crowd is, because you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. We were talking about it earlier how like Eagles fans freaking threw snowballs at Santa. So we know how like crazy and insane, in a good way, I'm saying that, Philadelphia fans can be. So given the way Harden basically quit his way out of Philadelphia.
He's quit everywhere he's been. By the way, people forget, he started this year on the Sixers.
Yes, and given the way he no-showed in Game 7 against the Celtics last season.
Well, everybody did. They were finished. Joel Embiid didn't even show up. That knocked Joel Embiid about 5 spots down my board.
Oh, I agree.
I'm not exaggerating. I was, the Sixers are the damn Buffalo Bills of the NBA.
But you get my overall point, though.
Yes, and the Sixers are just so disappointing. Though I will say this, if Joel Embiid comes back healthy, and they're a playing team, or they get that 6th spot, or whatever they have to do, we've talked about this, and God, I don't even want to talk about our hometown team tonight. That's why we don't have them in the rundown. How embarrassing was that? You're down by 45 points against Miami. You have 63 points in the 4th quarter, but we are the coach of the year. Whatever.
No, we don't.
Regardless, see, I am going off on a Josh Ungar tangent right now.
See, I've rubbed off on you.
Yes, you have. Regardless, I think this Sixers team could be a potentially dangerous team depending on who they play in the first round. For the Clippers, again, it depends on who they play. I think the Clippers could win a round. I love Tyronn Lue. Never thought he should have been fired here in Cleveland. I think he's taken Steve Kerr's mantra as the best coach in the NBA. Mike Malone in Denver, I think you can make the argument. I
would say Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA right now.
Spoelstra for sure, too. I don't know what the hell Joe Mazzulla does in Boston besides cross his arms.
Okay, we'll get to the Mavericks and the Kings in a minute, but we got to talk about the Boston Celtics for a few minutes since you brought up Joe Mazzulla. This is the second time this month they have blown a 20-plus point lead on the road.
So I didn't even see this until I saw Twitter today that apparently they were up, almost 25 against Atlanta?
They were up 30.
Oh, my goodness.
And they lost.
So that's a team that, to me, just doesn't care about the regular season. I
don't get it.
You know what it is? They're cruising to the 1 seed. They correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're up 10 games or something like that. They could almost lose out and still get the 1 seed.
They already clinched the number 1 seed.
So, yeah, I mean, there you go. They don't have to play any more games in the regular season.
No, but still, you have to think, I hear your point on that, but still, this is a big concern for me with the Celtics. And yes, they were without Drew Holiday. Yes, they were without Derek White. But still, this is the second time this month Boston has blown a 20-plus point lead
It's a concerning sign for sure. The one pushback I would give on that, and I acknowledge that if it was the Cavs, I'd be screaming and hollering to fire everybody. But in the NBA nowadays, because of the 3-point shot, instead of it being, a 10-possession game and you feel completely hopeless, 5 or 6 threes and you're right back in the game. And it is so much easier now. How many times have we seen, unless you're up 25 in the 4th quarter, no lead is safe.
I'll give you that for sure. You definitely have a valid point there. But even still, I don't know if it's just Boston thinks, oh, we're up 20 in the fourth quarter. The Cavs don't have Donovan Mitchell. We're going to win this game easily. Atlanta doesn't have Trae Young. We're just going to coast to this. And they don't push their foot all the way on the opponent's throats. And you can't do that when it comes to the postseason. Because depending on who you play, that could cost you a series. We've seen it with Boston in their recent playoff failures last year against Miami. The finals
against Golden State. Then I believe, did they play Miami again? I know they played them 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah. 2020 Eastern Conference Finals, 2022 Eastern Conference Finals, 2020.
And then 2023 Eastern Conference Finals as well. Well, from a team that's already got the 1 seed locked up to 2 teams that are fighting for their playoff lives. Mavs, Luka Doncic, Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, fighting for the Western Conference lives tonight in Sacramento. For me, this is about the NBA and who do they want as the playing teams. I think the NBA would obviously prefer for the Lakers and Warriors to make it over these other teams. But either way, I just alluded to this a few minutes ago when we talked about the Clippers. LeBron, Steph, KD, Luka, 2 of those stars are more than likely either in the play-in tournament and being eliminated or not in the playoffs at all. You got Houston now with these young guys and on everybody's tail. Sacramento's a weird team who has lost a lot of home games this month, including to the Detroit Pistons. Dallas, I think, is very Luka dependent, and as much of a greatness as a player as I think Luka Doncic is, I said this the other day, Luka can sometimes be a little bit difficult for me to watch with how much he complains to the officials. I think he completely goes overboard on that, and Kyrie Irving to me is just a lot like James Harden. I don't even know what to make of Kyrie. He's certainly a special talent, though what can you get from Kyrie day in, day out? We haven't known that since he left LeBron in 2017. So I think these teams are pretty even.
They're literally tied in the Western Conference standings. Sacramento is 6th at 42 and 29. But guess what? Dallas, even though they're sitting in 7th, they're also 42 and 29.
And I think that their play styles are similar. I think they're similarly built. So this matchup, it's not going to go, maybe a tiebreaker situation decides what seed. But like whoever loses tonight, they're not going to be completely out of it, obviously. But it is a pivotal game when it comes to who do you want to play. Because I think most importantly, any one of the teams that we have mentioned tonight, these 2 teams included, I think Denver is going to end up getting the 1 seed.
Oklahoma City, I think, is going to get the 2 seed.
I agree. 100%. You'd rather play Oklahoma City or Minnesota at that 3 than be that 8 seed and get Denver.
Yes. Which, by the way, with this Dallas-Sacramento game, Luka Doncic, as of right now, is a game-time decision. So that definitely changes the complexion. It says Doncic is questionable for Tuesday's game against the Kings due to left Achilles soreness. So we'll see.
And by the way, LeBron's not playing tonight for the Lakers. Milwaukee's going to probably house them. So
I know that. That's why I decided not to include that game in the rundown because I saw LeBron's not playing. By the way, I like this fun fact from Jalen.
Jalen's on the show tonight. Welcome, Jalen.
That's hilarious.
LeBron has played 1 more game with the Lakers than Ben Simmons has played altogether. Oh, Ben Simmons.
Okay, so we were just talking about the Celtics and the Hawks. Boston and Atlanta will turn around and play each other again on Thursday in Atlanta. Well, Dallas and Sacramento are going to do the same thing. They're playing each other tonight in Sacramento, and then they'll play each other again in Sacramento on Friday.
So I wonder if Dallas will rest Luka tonight, knowing they have to play Sacramento again, and they feel like that they don't want to play him twice.
I could see that. I'd rather see Luka tonight because it's on TNT. But
I also do wonder if these teams, if you're the 7 or 8, you want to stay. Do you want to stay that 7 and 8? I would guess that way if you win one game, you get to the 7, not have to play the 9 and 10. So I wonder if it's more of a seeding game type thing where you just think the Lakers are probably going to lose. Golden State is in Miami. That's a very hard game for them to win. I wonder if that's what Dallas thinking. Maybe that's why they rest Luka too.
It could be. It's also I believe both of these teams are actually playing on the second night of a back-to-back, if I remember correctly. Give me one.
I believe so. A lot of teams played last night. I want to say almost every team in the league played last night.
Yeah, Dallas was in Utah, and then Sacramento was at home against Philadelphia.
So I could very well see Luka resting tonight and them coming back and playing Friday.
Which this game is intriguing because it could be Luka against De'Aaron Fox, which I really like De'Aaron Fox. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the NBA.
I agree. I think him and Jamal Murray may be the two most underrated players in the whole league.
I'll tell you this. You were talking about how guys like Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are kind of taking over. You also mentioned Zion. I think you have to throw De'Aaron Fox into that mix as well.
I don't know. Sabonis, man. I almost think Sabonis is the leader of that team, not Fox.
Okay. You know what? I can see that. But still, with what De'Aaron Fox can do ball handling wise, I feel like he needs to be included in that mix.
I'll put this way. I think Shai leads Oklahoma City more than Holmgren does, and I think Sabonis leads Sacramento more than Fox does.
I can see that. And Luka clearly leads Dallas more than...
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Luka's a top 5 bucket getter potentially in the history of the sport.
Oh, yeah.
Again, not like James Harden. But what have I always said about those types of players? They run out of gas in April and May. It's why they never make those long playoff runs.
I don't get how Dallas continues to do this. First they had Dirk, and we know what Dirk became. And then they go and get Luka, and we've seen what Luka has become. How do the Mavericks continue to do this with these international players?
I don't know, but clearly we've seen it's hard for them to get a second star. That's been their main issue.